You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
You know, at this point, whatever it is that the Trump administration is covering up over the entire Jeffrey Epstein case has turned into an exhibition on how gullible supporters will be and how long they're willing to believe anything that they say. It was back in February that the no-nonsense, most transparent administration in history's Attorney General said this.
Breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay. Well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely. And he had help. That's for sure.
He sure did.
Everyone waited for every politician that they hated to be named, with details of the disgusting things that they paid Epstein to do for them, with no expectation of their favorites being on the list. You know, but the next day came, and Jesse Waters' exclusive turned into a flop.
This afternoon, a bunch of conservative influencers left a meeting at the White House with binders that said the Epstein files, phase 1. Once the binders were opened, people were able to see flight records and Epstein's Rolodex and a list of masseuses. The masseuses' names were blacked out, and the information from the flight logs wasn't new. Neither was the Rolodex. When we began to feel duped, Pam Bondi released a letter that says, basically, I was duped too. In the letter addressed to FBI Director Kash Patel, Bondi basically says, I asked you for the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. I received 200 pages of documents. I asked if these were all the documents, and the FBI said yes. Late yesterday, I learned from a source at the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and the indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the evidence of these files. Bondi's demanding by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning that the FBI deliver everything to her office, including all records, audio, video recordings, all materials related to Epstein. And she ensures DOJ will disclose everything. And she's directing Patel to begin an immediate investigation into why the FBI isn't following orders. So who's in charge at the New York FBI field office? Who's withholding Epstein docs from the Attorney General? James Dennehy is running the show there. There he is. This is the guy who emailed his whole staff to dig in after Trump took office.
When you've got an incompetent administration that's full of liars, the propagandists and right-wing media got confused over who to blame for being in the swamp that Trump promised to drain. So while Jesse was neck-deep in the rising waters, he didn't know where to turn.
The FBI seized computers, surveillance videos, banking records, file cabinets, and photographs from all of Epstein's properties in New Mexico, the Virgin Islands, Palm Beach, and in New York. The Justice Department also gave Epstein a sweetheart non-prosecution deal 17 years ago. Where are those files? The Bureau of Prisons. Where are those files? You remember where Epstein killed himself? I asked Bill Barr about that, why everything seemed to go wrong that night.
When I first heard all the information and all the coincidences here, I was suspicious.
What were the coincidences? I mean, those were a lot of coincidences.
Well, one of the cameras was out.
Right.
He was supposed to have a cellmate. The cellmate left. They didn't replace the cellmate. And the guards who were supposed to check him every half hour didn't check him.
My EMT source said he was on the scene immediately to pull Epstein's body out to the morgue. And when he got to the cell, he saw 7 people there touching Epstein's body and moving stuff around. Trump did say during the campaign he'd release these files, so it's not like this came out of the blue.
MAGA was in a rage on X, trying to figure out who the bad guys were that continued to keep the information from them after their favorite president convinced them years ago that his buddy Jeffrey Epstein somehow only trafficked girls and women for powerful people that he hates.
President Trump retweeted a baseless conspiracy theory to nearly 63 million Twitter followers. A spurious accusation that the Clintons are somehow linked to Jeffrey Epstein's death. President Trump once socialized with Jeffrey Epstein, but said last month their friendship ended years ago.
Well, I didn't get along with him.
President Clinton had known Epstein too, but a spokesman said they had not spoken in more than a decade.
Here's the tweet that he reposted. Died of suicide on 24/7 Suicide Watch? Yeah, right. How does that happen? Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton, and now he's dead. I see Trump body count trending, but we know who did this. Retweet if you're not surprised. Epstein suicide, Clinton body count, Clinton crime family. I'm sure Terrence Williams was ecstatic about his conspiracy being picked up by Trump for the sake of redirecting people's attention away from him. But somehow, neither one of them had any idea that MAGA would never let this go. So, this latest round of Trump officials, Kash, Patel, and Dan Bongino, trying to give a solemn, boring version of events that this movement itself had previously told everyone was a conspiratorial political hit, still isn't working. You know, there are even other trusted leaders that have stepped out of line over when and how to talk about this.
Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
No, of course not. Well, he didn't kill himself without the help of some people. He did kill himself, but he killed himself with the help of guards. He didn't do it by himself. He couldn't have done that. Obviously, though, the videos were turned off, and the guards turned their back, and his cellmate left. So I think he killed himself, but he killed himself with the assistance of some people in law enforcement.
It's of my opinion, and I don't have evidence to back it up, but I don't think that he killed himself. I just don't believe that. There are many powerful people that were captured, so to speak, through Jeffrey Epstein. He was basically a honey trap for all of these rich and powerful people, whether they were elected officials, whether they were from a certain royal family, or no matter, or business people, powerful business people. Those are the people that the American people deserve to know about. Those are the people that I demand to know about. And those are the people that need to be exposed. However, they've been protected and hidden for a very long time. And I cannot answer why that has been the case. And it should never be the case. I want to go a step further, Benny. While Kash Patel and Pam Bondi say they are reviewing all the footage through the FBI and working to get this evidence out to the American people, I certainly hope they do so. And I'm expecting them to do so. And I think everyone should be expecting them to do so. But I'll weigh in on something that James Comer said to you is, you know, the Trump administration just got in power a few months ago. We have no idea what evidence there was maybe before the Biden administration left. We have no idea what the evidence was years ago because we weren't in charge of it. And so it's of my personal opinion is I do wonder how much evidence has been destroyed over the years or say recently by the Biden administration because it's their friends and the people they cozy up with that would probably be exposed through the Epstein client list or the Epstein list of people that he had very embarrassing evidence on.
Now back to this past Sunday, where tough guys Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who actually usually come out with flamethrowers and big promises of relentlessly telling you the truth, you know, while snapping the knees of weak-ass liberals, now they're damn near whispering that there's nothing to see here. Not only on Fox News, but on X too. Because Bongino sheepishly came out and said, I haven't done any media interviews to this point because I want to keep the attention on the work. I don't work for myself anymore. I work for you. But it is important to relay to you what we're doing, and the media can be a tool for that. That's why we chose a long-form interview with Maria Bartiromo for our first interview. I hope you saw it. If you missed it, here are some of the questions that we were asked and answered. I was asked about some of the details surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein case. I've reviewed the case. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. There's no evidence in the case file indicating otherwise. I'm not asking you to believe me or not. I'm telling you what exists and what doesn't. If new evidence surfaces, I'm happy to reevaluate. So where did his big balls go? MAGA supporters asked it in their own way. Yet you can't reinstate the very people who exposed the truth about the institutional rot in the FBI. You are not a serious person. You are not being an honorable person. You want to stand up clowns while betraying the very people who have served the people. So this lady reposted, for years, Kash, Patel, and Dan Bongino have called people crazy to believe Epstein killed himself. And now that they've been in the club for about 40 seconds, they release a joint statement like it's open and shut. Nothing weird at all about it. He 100% did end his own life. And she added, effing sellouts. Epstein didn't kill himself, and the Las Vegas shooting was committed and covered up by our own damn government. So they're raging and noticing the suspicious behavior coming from an entire list of people that curiously have an undying commitment to protecting Donald Trump by any means necessary. But they somehow can't connect the dots that maybe there's an outside chance that they're doing all this because of him. I mean, it's not like the president himself hasn't slipped up and given any clues that show he wants nothing to do with this info coming out.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
James Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. They still haven't heard from you.
No, the FBI, the FBI, they're reviewing